What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now, in last video, if you guys don't remember, in the last video, we got our intake manifold seated, torqued to spec. We ran into an issue with our thermostat housing, and then we put in our 25-pound Cobra fuel injectors, replacing our stock 21 or 22.4. I've heard two different numbers, so I'm not 100% sure. But either way, replaced them, cleaned everything, and then we put, well, actually, for some reason, I don't know why, I never put the last two Acel super coils in, but I'll worry about that in a little bit. That's not the focus today. Well, first thing, before we get started, I don't know, if you guys can see, but the garage is a bit cluttered right now. Or not cluttered, just messy. We got more Pepsi bottles than I can count. Got an old Burger King cup, a bag of chips, boxes, packing stuff. So real quick, I'm gonna run around and just clean up just a tad, because it's starting to really get to me. Like, I was too lazy to open another trash bag, so that bag right there is my trash bag, so let me just clean some of this stuff up real quick, and I'll see you guys in a second. Okay, that's a lot better. This is still a little bit of a mess, but it's an organized mess, I promise. It looks worse than what it actually is, I promise. And in case if you guys were wondering why I had my impact and my wheel lug lock, I got the EGR tube off finally. I was bored the one day and I'm trying to think of something I could do on the side, and I'm like, I got it. Let's remove that tube. Now, my only issue is finding an end cap, because every store is either out of the correct size or they have a limit due to everything that's going on. They have a limit of people that are allowed in the store, and like the line fills the entire length of the parking lot. So I haven't been able to go to a store to get an end cap, but that should, hopefully things keep getting better and I can eventually go to a store and not have to wait outside in the cold, because it may look sunny, but don't let it fool you. It is cold right now, which makes no sense, because earlier this week, nice, beautiful 60, 70 degree weather. You could wear shorts, and today you walk outside and gotta wear a hoodie's almost too light. You gotta wear a jacket. So love Ohio. But we have a new shipment of car parts. Now, nothing too fancy. We got ourselves a brand new thermostat gasket. This is for something a little not related to the engine. We're gonna set this aside and we will deal with that later. But this right here, this is what we were really waiting on. This is what $120 goes to. So, let me show you a little comparison real quick. So this right here was our stock thermostat housing. Pretty short, small, kind of light, but obviously, giant crack. But nothing, too fancy. Now let me show you our aftermarket one that we just got in the mail. Look at that thing. It is huge. It is absolutely huge compared to our stock one. Look at that. It is huge. A lot heavier too. Like definitely a lot heavier than our stock one. Now, my worry is that, you know, this bolt might not be long enough even if I cut the washer off, because when I had it in the stock one, I didn't have that much free room, and this is a lot thicker than the stock one. So I'm a little worried that we might have to cut the washer on these bolts, or I'm worried that I might have, you know, just spent $20 for nothing. So later in the video when we put this on, I'm hoping that the bolts still work, because this was labeled from 96 to 04 GTs, because then 94 and 95 were 5.0s, and then in 96 they switched to the 4.6s. So it should fit. We shouldn't have an issue, but I'm still just a little sketched out, a little worried because of how thick, you know, this is compared to this. Now, another really cool thing about this aftermarket thermostat housing is the fact that you have a 360-degree swivel, so you can have this sitting at whatever position, whatever angle is best for you. If you were running, you know, like a special setup and you needed to adjust where it's sat, you could do that with ease just by turning it. Now obviously once you tighten it down, then it won't be able to move, which I think that's super cool that you're able to adjust this and you're able to get the proper angle. You know, if you were to have a aftermarket or custom radiator or something where the piping or the hoses ran from like over here, I just think it's really cool that they featured this, that you're actually able to do that. All right, I have two main concerns before we even get ahead of ourselves here. My first concern was that the housing wouldn't line up right, but it does, so we're good. It's a little smaller, you know, around like the edges on the lip, but it's fine. That's not an issue. But the main issue is our bolts. Now, I'm gonna drop one in and hope for the best. Oh, just barely. We are just barely able to grab threads. So that's good. As long as we're able to. I might end up cutting off these washers because we don't need them. Never mind, it looks like that we won't even have to cut that off. I was able to push down the housing and get more than enough room, so we don't even have to worry about that. Now, let's torque these things down and move on to the next step. Okay, so you know what's funny? I was just getting ready to record and tell you guys, hey, I'm sorry, but our throttle body isn't in yet. And that's the truth, it isn't in yet. Due to, I don't know, something with American Muscle and Corona, my order has been delayed like a long time. I mean, it's been 8-9 days now since I've ordered all this stuff. I ordered that stuff from LMR the same day I ordered my throttle body, and that was got in a couple days ago actually. And my throttle body is still nowhere to be seen. But funny enough, I just got an email saying that it finally got shipped out. So that's good. This will be on the way. So you guys will see me installing this in next week's video. Okay, in the meantime, before we put on our new to the car, our Mishimoto upper radiator hose, first let's put our alternator back on. Now, I was tempted to do an underdrive pulley swap while I had everything apart, but we are not going to be doing that just yet. That's a little later down the line. It's a plan for this car, just later down the line. And also, we are going to do this now before we put on the hose, because we're also waiting on our hose clamps to dry. I painted them with a high temp black paint because the black paint that was on there was really chipping and it just kind of looked nasty. So I just put a light coat of high temp black paint on it. So it should be good. Okay, so to put this alternator on, it is actually super simple. So, oh, you know what I just noticed? That's a little rusty. I don't know how that's gonna look. We might have to run that with a coat of black. Hold on, give me a second. Now see, look what one coat of black paint did. That looks a lot better, and that's gonna look a lot more clean. I mean, I know our alternator's, all dirty and nasty, but in my opinion, that just adds to the new manifold, adds to the chrome, and just really makes it look a lot better. So to put this alternator on. It's actually really simple. I always start with lining up the bolts and getting them somewhat threaded in on this bracket, so you kind of have a base foundation before you tighten the bottom ones. Now once you get those lined in, take your ratchet and take your handy 10mm and just tighten these things down. Start with the bottom bolts, that way it's sitting right before you move on to the bracket. You don't want to risk messing up any of these. You don't want to risk messing up these bolts. So I always recommend starting with the bottom ones, so that way it's held in place, and then tighten down the top ones. And there you got it. You got an alternator on your car. Okay, now that we got that on, we can finally put on our upper MISHIMOTO radiator hose. Okay, this box, I'm happy to finally be able to do this, because this box and these hoses and that thermostat have been sitting here forever, just collecting dust. I mean, like, seriously, it's not too bad, but it was pretty bad. These things have been sitting here for a long time, and I just never got around to replacing the thermostat, and obviously, well, you know what happened after that. Okay, and so now in this video, while we're at it, since we have our new hose on, let's finish up the coolant process, and let's put our new reservoir back on, get all of our hoses tightened down, the bolts tightened down, so then that way, once we get the car together, it's just one less thing that we have to worry about. Okay, guys. We finally, it was a pain in the ass to get that lower hose on, because the flared part that's on the end, like the flare right there, it was just it was just a tad bit bigger, and that the clamp, it's one of these styles, one of the kind that you clip with pliers. It was, just barely too small, so I had to cut the stopper tab off, and then it went right on, no problem. But now let's bolt up our reservoir, and then we'll put on the final hose. Wow, it's actually starting to look like an engine bay again. Damn, forgot what that looks like. But that's all for tonight, guys. I can't think of anything else that we need to do. We are currently waiting on our throttle body, and until then, I'm not going to take off any of the sensors or the valves or anything on this old one yet until we get our new throttle body, which, if you guys saw earlier, just finally now shipped. So who knows when we're going to get it, hopefully soon. And then after this, after our throttle body, all we need left is our tune, which I'm in the process of ordering, our cold air intake, and then a very nice shipment of parts from MISHIMOTO, which I'll show you guys that, once it comes in. Got to keep it a surprise. Oh, and our end cap, which I'm still on the hunt for, but got to find one because I don't want an exhaust leak right out the manifold. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, be sure to leave a like, comment down below if you guys want to see anything special with this car, with my truck, any events I should go to. I already have a few things planned. And finally, this whole Corona bullshit is starting to fade away. Stay-at-home orders are being lifted. Businesses are reopening. So everything's going in a positive direction. So we should be able to go to meets, car events, car shows. Got a lot in store for this channel. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to subscribe. Have a good night.